start recording when you said that. That was very offensive about our friend Tom Kerr. He's a very nice man with a very yellow
Well, I love Tom. Tom's a great person. I felt bad when the one time, remember in the subway, I saw a guy wearing his yellow checkered shirt. I'm like, somebody stole Tom's shirt. What the hell? And I was, if he had not been in the next car over, I probably would have gone and said something to the strange person.
This is most definitely the opening of a Jason Collins production.
It is. It is.
So, you've seen us on Move and Attack. We've been yapping our butt off about answering folks' questions.
Thank you to those people for submitting those questions.
Malcolm Rush and friends, thank you guys very much. We're going to clear out the document and get those new questions set up for you guys. Always check in the description below of our videos for the doc. Do keep an eye open when I do screw up and send you a broken link. There was a couple weeks where I did that, and I realized it's way too late. Wow. Well, that isn't the horse's ass. I don't know what is. We are stuck behind a horse. And you know, it's kind of indicative of the weekend.
Yeah.
So it's post-Canadian Nationals. And it's been one thing and another, a very, very rough weekend. Now, I'm going to lead with this. I had a ton of fun. I always have a ton of fun. If this was any other gaming community, though, I would not have had a lot of fun. And I'm gonna preface that. It was not without its challenges towards both the organizers and the players. The weather was very hot, and the air conditioner was working overtime. The working should be in quotation marks. The air conditioning in the room, beautiful, refrigerated. We didn't spend enough time in the room though. All right, let's get to the nitty gritty of it. Before we get into that, the big picture problems we have. Day one, we got in Friday night. Kind of relaxed a whole lot. Did a lot of testing. Met with the guys from Pusheen. Practiced in our room. Moved the table. Set up maps on the floor. Ate some food. Where did did we eat at Addie's? Yeah, we ate at Addie's.
Yeah, because we went out the door and said, hey, let's check out that place that's beside the hotel.
I don't know.
No, it's just funny because it's happened to me once before in another trip where it's like, all right, well, we have to get to the, get to the restaurant, get to the place where we're going. And it's like, okay, well, the directions say go out to basically go around in a square. And then as we were leaving, it's like, is that not our hotel right across the street? But because it's a one-way application, and that was not with you guys, that was a family trip.
Yeah. So the venue and where we stayed was the Best Western Europa. Thanks, Patricia Lamb, for jumping in at the last second with a great deal on a hotel room in the hotel. It's not often you get that kind of last-second deal.
No.
And we were able to get 2 beds and a fold-out. How was the fold-out?
You know what? It wasn't bad because it had, like, this weird, already manufactured groove that your body could kind of settle in. I didn't really move a lot during the night, which was really nice, but it was okay.
Amber?
What was this?
Thoughts on the room?
Oh, the room was great. It was just really weirdly designed.
Yeah.
Our room ended up at like the end of the hallway. Where normally like hotel rooms, you'll have like rooms across from each other, and then at the end of the hall, you'll have like an exit or something, or it will just be a wall. Like that's the end of the building. This was a unit at the end of the hall, so it was very long and very short because it kind of just went next to the other 2 units. So when you got in, you like walked in, and then the beds were kind of around a corner, but like with only maybe a foot between the bed and the wall because there was another unit there.
It's like Tetris.
Then there was like, I'm going to assume a load-bearing pillar just in the middle of the room, and for some reason it was covered in mirrors. So there were just 4 mirrors in the middle of the room.
It really helped to improve my pole dancing. I'm 1,000 times better now.
Oh.
I was
0 times 0 is still 0, Jason.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, unlike the giant men that I tend to travel with, I don't like air conditioning. I don't like freezing rooms. I have circulatory issues where like my arteries actually close when I get too cold. So I will freeze. and it takes a few hours for me to actually warm back up enough to fall asleep. So I don't sleep well in hotel rooms if it's too cold. But that is a me issue and not a hotel issue. Like, everybody else loved the fact that we were sleeping in a freezer. So
when you compare to the venue, for everything else outside of the hotel room.
Yeah, this was very hot and muggy.
Let's be pointedly clear here. The coldness needed to be indicative of the fact that we did have 5 people in the room.
That's true.
And I have been, when we went to Ottawa that one time, the first time that we all went down, you guys were in the room across the way and your fan or something had broken in your room, and it was like a Middle Eastern country.
And I slept very well.
But again,
I lost about an Amber's worth of weight that night.
I know, I was like, oh my God, how are you? I like it colder when I sleep. And but if I had been alone in that hotel room, I wouldn't have had it so cold. I will admit that.
So apparently I'm the polar bear in the room, and
We've already known this.
Nobody complained. Everybody was on my side.
I didn't say it. I wasn't complaining.
Oh, I wasn't. This is not a complaint. This is, I have a hard time sleeping when it's too cold.
Anyway.
Blankets are never heavy enough.
Wow. All right, I feel so attacked now. So we go into Saturday. It's Hero Clix time. Amber and Aiden are involved in the first sealed qualifier. I'm skipping out on the first sealed qualifier because I want to get some breakfast and relax. So I go down to Cora's with Emily. We enjoy a nice little breakfast. Surprisingly fast service for a Cora's. I've got like Cora's in where I live, reputation, slowest service I've ever seen in my life. As far as like, you know, ordering my food to getting my food, usually like, you know, you don't, and you want to make sure you don't have plans for some reason. This one, food's in and out. Like, it was mind-boggling. I get a message from Amber. Amber, what was this little issue with the pricing? Just to describe basically what you said to me.
The pricing that they received was not the 2019 convention pricing. It was the 2018 convention pricing.
Now this is, of course, we find this out after we arrive there and want to buy our con exclusives and realize they hadn't received the Mammoth Ghost Rider.
Yeah, they didn't announce that they did not have it. Another person, like the first person in line, as he was leaving, saying, just so you guys all know, they don't have the Mammoth. And for me, that was kind of a little downer because I was kind of basically, that was like going to be the highlight. I wanted to get that Mammoth because it's the way it's called. Plague figure, it's debatable. People, excuse me.
We called it. I think we even called it on this one of these move and attack type videos.
What?
The Mammoth Ghost Rider as a con exclusive.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure when we did the what do you think they're gonna do for, yeah, I'm pretty sure that happened. And not to hijack Amber's story.
No, I just needed Amber to say what she said to me.
The level of excitement, expectation, whatever, happiness did drop a little.
When I got into that room, you could feel it drained out of the room.
Yeah.
It was not good.
No. Now, as Jay was not in the room, I do want to say the following thing did happen. So, Alex did announce that they did not receive the pricing. They had 2019. They had some of the purchasables, so nothing winnable, anything. He did say they're trying to make do on it, and they're trying out some different logistical ways of providing at least the pricing to those who get the pricing whenever it happens. So, for example, as you all, some or you may or not know, if you're a top certain percentage of a qualifier, as you place, you get a
Top
con
50%
figure.
gets a con exclusive figure, and bottom 50% gets
object.
a Mandarin ring.
Yeah, this time it was con exclusive last year, and then it was ID cards. So they did say, write your name down, where you game, what's your address, etc., etc. We're going to try and get some. We're taking a list of everybody and how they place and everything like that, and we're going to try and get you what you were supposed to have gotten. But here's a consolation, for lack of a better way of saying it. I thought it was really well handled, considering the circumstance.
So that was a bit of a downer, and I played in one battle royale during the Seal tournament, and honestly, by the end of it, I think we were all literally more interested in the figures that came out of the packs than anything else, and I ended up picking third in my battle royale and grabbed like a con exclusive Daredevil. That's reflective of what we were dealing with. It's rough, and I'm not going to point blame. A lot of that's going to come later. So, with the energy rained out of the room, unfortunately, we go to the Seal qualifier, just high level. Amber, how'd you do? Seal qual.
I pulled exceptionally well. My first booster was the Chase Red Skull and a Astronomer. My second booster was a Super Rare Runner. I played the Red Skull, the Astronomer, and I will always say that word wrong.
Astronomer.
And a red AIM Red Squad. I had the team to beat. I had the team that everybody looked at my team, for everybody that was on Facebook, and we were like, holy crap, that team. Thank you all for wishing me good luck. I went 0-3. There is a very lengthy story to my very first game that I don't feel comfortable on camera going into. But the main gist of it is that I played against a player who has more or less never really played the game before, and I spent my entire game teaching them to play rather than actually playing, and got 3 turns, and the 3 turns that they got scored them more points than I did. Unfortunately, this did not put me in a great mood for the next game.
The word is tilt.
Yes. I made some placement errors in the next game, and then my dice just stopped working. And even my opponent is like, what is happening? I shouldn't be winning this. This shouldn't be happening, kind of deal. And so I lost my second game. And then my third game didn't really matter, and it was a complete and utter bloodbath. And it ended up being 280 to 300 or something like that. Like,
Yeah, 280 to 295.
yeah, like the only thing left on the map was the Shield Diplomat, because my very last action in the game, I pushed my AIM Red Squad on to get that last hit on the Hood who had Mystics. So my damage killed him, and then actions resolve, and the pushing damage plus the Mystics killed the red AIM guy, and the Shield Diplomat's just standing there like, the hell just happened? So yeah, I ended up going 0-3, and it was just not a great experience. And then on top of that, I got a Professor X ID card for my troubles. I would have felt slightly better if it had been an item, Mandarin ID ring, which was what I was excited for going to do the qualifiers. Was like, hey, I can get a brand new ID card, or I can just get a Mandarin ring, because I have not been this excited for handout prizes since I want to say the Batman stuff that they handed out, the con exclusive Batman items.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, because every time since then, like the years since then, it's been ID cards, and I don't want to. I know that this is going to come across whiny, or like, it's just not going to come across nice. But tournaments, it was a very good year for us last year. So to basically start our competitive convention season this year, being handed out the prizes that we already won last year, it's just not quite there. And then honestly, this is just nobody's fault, but I mean, the ID card I got wasn't even a convention exclusive card.
It was a WKO participation prize.
Like, I mean, on one hand, it plays into a fun game that we have going, an inside joke that we have going within the team, and that's a funny story for another time.
That'll be the funny story after we talk about the event.
Yeah.
Or the tournaments themselves.
But yeah, so I was just not in a good headspace. There was nothing good about that first tournament because it was just the team that I had shouldn't have performed the way that it did. And it makes me feel worse about my abilities as a player.
Aiden.
I'm going to preface this by saying I have always felt the more exciting, more challenging, more fun games are always with a sealed event. I have never... Sealed events, release days, pre-release days, events of this nature, WKs, everything. I always feel that it's the energy is lighter and more fun. I do not feel that this was the case going into this. Now, a lot of stuff can be said for how you feel about when you pull. I pulled, my first booster was the rare Electra, and some, support pieces of whatever nature, generics and what have you. My second booster contained Corvus Glaive, Possessor, and it was a Black Widow, and some other stuff that I really had. It was an interesting booster pull for me because, again, it was just rares, which, whatever. I mean, Corvus Glaive is a monster character. I never played him before. I enjoyed playing him. He was on my team. So, from that being said, it was a suck out because the pricing wasn't there, and it was just like the whole ambience of the room just kind of went. That being said, my team was Corvus Glaive, Common Black Widow, the Possessor. There was another person there that I can't remember. I know that I had. So I had
an aim white, that's for sure, because that's the thing I told you to break your theme with.
So I had a 270 point theme cosmic team. So it was Possessor, Black Widow, Corvus Glaive. Oh my god, who the fuck was the other person? Anyway, oh my god, I can't remember. It was a common or uncommon or something like that. And it was like, I did go to Jason and I said, alright, what am I going to do here? Because I could go theme, and then I have theme probability.
Well, you wouldn't with Cosmic, because it would be generic keyword.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would have the theme and map bonuses and all this other fun stuff, but I would be severely underpointed. Or do I go, do I add this aim guy and have the ability to choose an outwit or flex depending on the situation that I would want it? So I did go with the aim guy. I won my first game barely. It was literally last action it called. I had just killed my opponent's Black Panther for 95 points. I mean, it was a great match. I enjoyed it immensely. And that's what happened. It was like 0-95. My second round opponent had luck on her side, had luck on its side.
On its
side? Because it, well, she she managed to, and this is a stupid placement on my part. I had 3 characters on the ledge so I could see down on her team, and she moved her crystal up and did a free quake and critically hit on that click. And it was Voyager. Voyager was the last one on the team.
That's what it was, yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, and I did manage to take points, but I lost. And then same with the last game. So I ended up 1 and 2. I didn't qualify, but I was like 9th. I think what it ended up being, because I did get my con exclusive Joker, which was like, okay. I didn't really want it. Still don't. But it was, I know that there was only like 7 people available, so it was like I just kind of missed out in terms of placing. So that was what it was, but it was like, and that was it.
Alright. So we move into the constructed. I played in this, but I played a super silly team. It was Falcon, the rare, not Prime, from Black Panther Illuminati main set. Dupe, the new con exclusive. The con exclusive Lockjaw, the super rare Lockjaw, and an ID, and Gertrude York and Old Lace, and because I am a silverback gorilla Titano, and I also brought Wolverine ID card on the team. Honestly, I went 0-3. I could have put a little bit more effort into my games, maybe squeaked out 1 or 2 wins, but I was mostly there for funsies and to add a body to add to the count of players so that more people could possibly qualify. That was my goal. And it worked out because I know somebody important to me got qualified. Right, Aiden? No, I'm just...
I'm gonna pull over to the side of the road. You're gonna fucking walk home after that one, okay?
Oh, Aiden, you're important to me, but you don't have sex with me like Amber does.
Well, no.
You have it in different ways.
Are we gonna skip me and just go right to her? Or do you want me to? Do you want to actually go?
How is your constructed
Okay,
qualifier?
it was fucking terrible. I tried my team out. I scored points, so it wasn't like, okay. Let me actually. Okay, I played Kenji the first round.
Yep.
I took out his Groot, and I knew what I did was stupid. Like, it could have been a smaller point variance between the win-loss, but unfortunately, I was stupid, and I called in the wrong character, and he murdered that character, so we got the extra bonus points. My second opponent seeded. And I don't know why. I think he was playing with somebody else, so he just said...
Oh, yeah, he conceded. He conceded.
He conceded to me. So I got the win with his team.
It's like seeded? What? He did what on the table?
And I said conceded.
I only heard seeded when you said it.
Well, actually, no, that's the word is seeded.
No, the word is concede. Seeding is when you place in a tournament. Top seed, lower seed.
C-E-D. C-E-D-E-D.
Yeah, it's concede.
No.
C-O-N-C-E-D-E.
Yes, I know that. But I think, I don't know. Anyway, we'll argue about this later on. But, so I had like an hour to kill. And then I played a nice gentleman whose name I can't remember. I think it's Tim. Who had the new Lobo from the con exclusive.
Yes, I do believe that was Tim.
And no, the hypersonic with the Venom harness.
They're synonyms.
Anyway.
Sorry, it's just...
Did you look that up? Just like these two people are arguing in front of me, and I need to know what this is so that they're both right now.
No, I looked it up.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
okay.
we were both right.
All right, yay.
Because they're synonyms.
So I lost, and I got a brand new spanking Harley ID card out of it. Amber,
I think we have to add.
You do?
I think we have to add Harley IDs to the game, Professor X and Colossus ID game.
So my first round, I played against Isaac. Now I'm playing with...
Is Isaac any good at HeroClix?
I'm taking my Medusa team.
Can I point out that I was really, really mean to the both of them? I said, "Oh, look, it's the battle of the little people."
He did say that, and Isaac was like, "Okay."
For now.
And
no disrespect to Isaac.
I was gonna say Isaac got top 8, Aiden.
I know that. No, it's no disrespect to him.
I learned a very important lesson. Medusas do not like getting tanked.
Get tanked.
Now this is one of those things of versus the Canadian meta versus the American meta, and that the tank has not been around for us since it got watch listed.
Tom has been the primary user of it. That Amber's not wrong. A lot of players locally have kind of given up on it, except for Tom Kerr.
Yeah.
You're right, Tom. We get it.
So I was not prepared to get a tank in my face. The other thing I was not prepared for was because when the tank was very big, it was also a very ranged meta. So I had only ever seen people shooting and then dropping the tank. So I didn't realize that you can do it with a close action. So he had brought out all new Wolverine, and she dropped a tank on my team.
And a Badger for your unhealthiness, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it was not a long game, but I did learn some stuff, and it went it wasn't a bad loss. I don't feel bad about losing that one. But that also meant I was 0-1. And then my next round, I fought Jason.
My team was very silly.
Yes. We had a ton of fun.
One highlight? Can I point out one highlight from this game?
Absolutely.
Dupe rammed for 6 and 2 on 2 Medusas.
Yes.
So your Dupe rammed her Medusa?
Rammed it good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
In all fairness, she was tanked before, so.
Yeah. So that put me at 1-1.
Good night, everybody.
And I scored some points with Isaac because I managed to, I got the ID cards and stuff. So I wasn't completely out of points. So my third round, I played against Abdul. And he sat down and he apologized right away. He's like, "I don't want to face you. I don't want you to go up against my team." And he's like, I was really hoping we wouldn't have to face each other until tomorrow. So I basically need to win. I was hoping I felt I needed to win that game to get qualified. So once again, I got tanked. And this one was I not being as aware of my surroundings as much in the fact of the ID cards, is that I knew that I was relatively safe from his main force, but then he called out the Professor X that basically can just see really far and through things. So he managed to do that and drop the tank on me. But then he was also kind of helping me along with what I should be, because I was really on tilt after that point. He was like, "Okay, you need to calm down." He's like, "You still got this, you can do this." And he was just kind of coaching me through it in the sense that I needed to get my head back into the game, and he was helping me with that and letting me know more about stuff that I just wasn't always seeing. So it was a very cooperative kind of game. He still won, but I managed to take a good amount of points. He brought out Wolverine and I killed it, and I killed the tank, and I killed his Flora, who managed to heal up. I was still killing things, even though I had pretty much written off that game as soon as I got tanked. So because I scored so many points in the game of even though he won, I was 1-2, but with a good amount of points. Now, going into this particular tournament with the constructed, we had, because a lot of players who had already qualified were jumping in to do this as practice.
Between 9 and 10 players were...
There was about 9 or 10 players that were already qualified that were doing well, and because there were extra players, there were 7 seats to give out. So a lot of the qualifications could get passed down. So at this point, I was super nervous. I didn't think I was going to make it. I was convinced I was going to have to go into the third qualifier, and I was just basically ruined at this point. And once they started placing the things, they were like, okay, let's find out who's getting their seat for tomorrow. And they started calling names, and it's like, oh, I'm already qualified. I'm already qualified. And then it was like, there were so many. I was like, oh, okay, we're getting a lot here. And then they hit this stretch.
Amber started keeping count.
And I was like, I know there's only 7 seats. So it's like, oh, I need one. Oh, I need one. Oh, I need one. And like, we got down to, there were 6. And I was like, all right, well, I'm 1 and 2. 6 of the 7 slots are already gone. Like, I guess I'm not going out for dinner. Like, get me some takeout because I'm here for the long haul. And then they called, like, Devin, and he's like, I've already got my spot. And then they're like, all right, last seat goes to, and then they call my name, and the room exploded.
You never see, like, the entire weekend.
Like, applause and whooping and cheering like this. And it was just like every single person in the room just exploded with noise as soon as my name was called. And it had been such a long and arduous day that and it wasn't even that I got called and I got qualified, it was the absolute noise of everybody cheering me on. I broke down, I grabbed Jason, I broke down, buried my head in his face because I started bawling. Like, I was crying. And
she
like,
says buried her head in my face. She means my chest.
Yeah, sorry, my face in his chest. And, yeah, I just started bawling. And I reassured him, I'm like, these are happy tears. I'm just very emotional at the moment. So I managed to get my, for the first time ever at Canadian Nationals, I managed to qualify in the second qualifier, and I didn't have to wait or trudge through a giant 12-hour day of trying to get qualified. So it was like one of the highlights of the weekend for me. And then as soon as I stopped crying, I like ran over and I gave Abdul a giant hug because of all of the points that I scored off of him helped me get that last little push into getting qualified.
Well, it felt good to watch that happen. And that meant, so I went, Aiden went and had to qualify in the next, or tried to qualify in the next sealed qualifier. I went and grabbed him some food, a couple burgers and some fries, and then went to dinner with Amber. Aiden, how was so the last seal, they only did 2 rounds?
They only did 2 rounds because, now, I'll be honest with you, I was paying attention to what I was doing while they were making this kind of decision. I think it had something to do with, were they going to do the second constructed qualifier? And because it was getting kind of late, it was about,
they were way behind schedule.
8 o'clock at this point in time, and we had just finished.
It was 7. It was 7.
Yeah. So we just finished the first round.
Okay, then yeah, it's 8 there.
And so they said, there was like, okay, does anybody care if we only do 2 rounds? And unfortunately, I lost. No, I lost my first one because I was playing the same guy I played in the seal from before, Joe, nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played, oh my God, what's his name? Oh, he's the nice man from Michigan. He was from Chicago. Oh, shit, I can't remember his name. I want to say Nate.
Nate White?
Does he have kind of like a beard? He's got like.
And he had the striped shirt?
He had, I think it was a blue shirt that said pants on it.
Yep, that was Nate White.
Okay, nice fellow. Nice. I don't think I'd ever met him before. Super nice. We played a really quick, dirty game, and he said, no, I've already qualified, so, you know, we'll fudge it. So what we did, and they only had 3 spots open because they only had 10 people for the qualifier. Unfortunately, those 3 spots were taken up beforehand, before they got to my name, because it was like, okay, do you? No, I've already qualified. Do you? No, I've already qualified. Do you? Yes. Do you? Yes. Do you? Yes. Okay. And then the next person's Aiden. I'm like, okay, well, okay. So then they decided to do the 4th qualifier, and I had, unfortunately at that point in time, I'm just burnt out. I had reached kind of the
You
wall.
You
It's
hit
like,
the wall.
you know what? I don't care anymore. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, no, I'm just going to go. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to sit. And then they're like, okay, well, they had enough people where if you had actually showed up, you would have qualified for the next day. So I didn't qualify, and that's fine. And I had a very leisurely day today, going and doing things and basically generally relaxing and making sure that we were ready to go, on the hopes that we were leaving at 8 o'clock tonight instead of
5 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Which,
So we're way ahead schedule. As you can see by the
As the
remaining
sun is
daylight.
finally starting to wane.
yeah. So, and then that was it.
So mine and Amber Sunday. It is Canadian Nationals time. I'm playing 3 whales, 2 Groots, 2 Dr. Frankensteins, a Raven, and some Super Friends. That's right. Anybody thinks they're getting a click number 0, you ain't getting a click number 0. Amber is still playing her Medusa team.
Yes.
My round 1 did not go well. It was up against who was I up against? I was up against Matt Ryan.
Before you start, how many people showed up?
25 people who were qualified, ready to go. Weird low number. I thought there was going to be more. Not gonna lie.
A lot of people thought there were more. But
Yeah. So that said, I was up against Matt Ryan. He was playing Medusa team. He was killing. He got a good number of my. Like he killed 2 of my whales in the game. My first 4 attempts at attacking with my 2 whales were met with failure. This is going to be the story of my day. And it would always lead with like 1 needing a 5, get probed away into like oblivion. I would miss, and then the next one would follow up with all his probs wasted and fail. So they were the fail whales on that one. And it was one of those things. It's like time was getting tight. I didn't realize how tight it was getting. I'd lost track of it, which means I was having a fun game. And just as I thought I had the game, like the game leading, big game changing attack ready to go, time was called just as I finished my perplex. I was like, are you kidding me? So I ended up losing that one 100 to 60. I had killed 1 Medusa and a giant girl died by pushing herself, because this is why I didn't use Fast Force the giant girl on Amber's team. Round 2, I was up against Emily. I got Canadian Goosed. She has the Vulture team. I was 1 click too far with my back row. Oh wow. And you know what it came down to literally was my only chance was moving all the whales forward and then moving all the whales forward again and attacking and seeing how that goes with perplexed up movement. So I was working on 10 attacks. There was literally nothing I could do in the game. She has the 99 percentile on the win. I was really hoping I would be able to dodge her because she was the only one I was deeply concerned with because she would be playing that team.
Did you take points?
I took 5 points because she used an ID card. My third round was the J off, we like to call it. Big Jason Keem from New Jersey versus Jason Collins. The score at the end of this game, I can't even describe this bloodbath. The score was 300 to 286.
Are you kidding me?
He killed all of my things, and all he had left was Star Fox, and I had killed a Professor X and a tank.
Wow, 286.
I got 286 points.
Holy shit.
So I lost with low points. So my only hope now is to win out the last 2 rounds with my point score and catch one of those last 1 or 2 Worlds qualifiers to get in the top 50% in the last 13 people. So going to the 4th round, I'm against Tom Kerr in his weird yellow shirt. And yes, that's right, Tom Kerr showed up on the Sunday morning.
And he didn't bring us a cake or anything.
I mean, to his credit, he just showed up all of a sudden, as Tom Kerr do. Tom Kerr is playing a different version of the animal team. He's got 2 dupes. He's got the Con Lockjaw. He's got a whale at 15 points as a Colossal Retaliator. He's got Gertrude York and Old Lace. And he's got 2 triples. Basically, the goal of the triples is to increase his ID card count, and he had a maximum ID card call-ins. And his goal was to use ID card call-ins to punish. But my whales kind of took the punishment at will, and as I lost one whale, and that was the tide I needed stemmed, and then I could just keep pushing forward and attacking, and colossal stamina and attacking, because that's one of the things people get caught off guard with these whales. They have colossal stamina being colossals, so I can keep going if I so choose, and I did. And that's why I have the Dr. Frankenstein's as well to free action support. And that's another thing people get, like, he's got what support? Free action support is OP. But yeah, this ended up being like it became an overwhelming number of attacks coming Tom's way, and I ended up being able to actually kill a whole bunch of stuff. I scored more than 300 points, which got me 300-point win. Cool. Last round. I love you, Amber.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Amber's Medusas. I'll let her describe it from her point of view. And the long story short, I did win without getting into details of the game. Amber was writing down details of the game, so she'd probably have a better idea of what happened than I did as far as the goings on. There ended up being a number of people who went to U.S. Nationals who were in the top 50% and getting qualified for Worlds as a result. So that meant a couple of them shifted down, and the last two went to myself and Emily. So good news, I'm qualified for Worlds. I can relax through Team Worlds. I don't have to do the grinder after Team Worlds. I can just kind of chill out and do other stuff. Maybe me and Tom will go on a tour or something. I don't know. We'll see what's up. But yeah, overall, I'm not proud of my performance, but I am happy with the results. Amber?
So, my first round, I played against Mike White. And
he was in the top 2, spoiler.
yeah. He came in second, so I went.
Are you okay to drive with this on?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I went mackerel.
I am going to stop at the next round.
And
yep.
I've become very comfortable actually playing on Amok Time with my team, and which is a very, very open map, and it kind of throws my opponents off that I choose that because I am a close combat team, not a range team, and most of the meta is range right now, and they're like, why are you doing this? But I find it a lot easier to maneuver my team around on Amok Time because I don't have to worry about any kind of map terrain, and my team can just kind of do what it wants to do. So I did my usual first turn where I'm getting my gems on my Medusas, and I moved halfway up the map. And then I knew that Mike had the Harley ID, so I sidestepped everybody away from each other so that he couldn't big energy explode me. And he was like, oh, I don't know if I would have thought of that, but yeah, now that you mention it, I do have the Harley ID. So he wasn't sure how to approach my team because he also we didn't play test with each other. So he didn't know that my team basically, by turn 2, is in your starting area. First turn, I equip my gems, and then I'm halfway up the map. And if you can't come at me right away with a big attack, next turn I'm in your face and I'm killing things. So he moved around a little bit, but didn't really do anything other than get his own equipment and kind of feel out how I play. He was playing Kovic, so he did switch out my Power Cosmic with, he gave me Superman Ally and Hyper Time for Mr. Oz. And, I have a question about that.
What?
Random. If the person that switched out the team ability dies, do the team abilities go back?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, we rolled for Hyper Time at one point, which Mr. Oz wasn't supposed to have, I don't think, but blah. Do we want to continue?
Yeah, well, finish the round and then we'll talk about the next round after a quick pause.
Okay.
Move and attack needs fuel.
So
Earthburn neutralized.
Next turn, I'm in his face. Drop my hairs, kill Groot. Get my other 2 hairs to swarm Mangog. Because the big thing with my team is that I don't like being retaliated on. I don't like being tanked. I don't like being... So I need to make sure my main goal first few turns is to get rid of the retaliators. So knocked out Groot, no problem. Went on to Mangog. Now, because he had taken away my Power Cosmic, I pushed Voyager to move forward, which takes her off Outwit and puts her on Perplex. So I'm sitting on Perplex from the Reality Gem and Perplex from Voyager, which I didn't think about. So I used my hairs to attack Mangog, and he had probs, I had probs, I had a whack load of theme probs, and I hit that 19 a few times but kept getting probbed away. And I knew that that was basically it. Like, that Mangog had to die. And then as soon as that final attack was finalized, I was like, I should have dropped your defense to a 17 and killed you. Like, I knew my mistake. As soon as it was finalized, I was like, no, I did that wrong. And then the next turn, he Mangogged, 4 damage, everybody. My Medusas are all on their last click. And Voyager is heavily damaged. So another good turn with his Mangog and Walking Woods and that were still alive. Basically, I'm down to Giant Girls and my aim guys, which I couldn't do a lot with. I kept trying to take the Mangog, and basically that was it. He was able to take out these guys. Now, afterwards we were talking about it, I knew right away I should have dropped that Perplex. At one point, there was a lot of rules going on for the Medusa attack, and we had missed that, we thought that the Mangog had a printed 11. He's got a printed 10 attack. So the attack call was being called as higher, but we're pretty sure that every time it managed to hit, it was hitting at the right point. But there was also like 6s that I was probbing because we were thinking of 12 on 18, the 6 was gonna hit, but it actually missed, but I was probbing it because I thought it was a hit. Those little things like that, first round, you stumble over these little things because you're all nervous. It's the beginning of the main tournament. But basically, it was first round, I had lost. I got 26 points because he did do 2 call-ins, and it just like, I didn't feel bad about it, basically. I'm like, oh, only 1 loss. We can get better.
Quick stop for gas. Amber.
So round 2, I went up against Ed. This is Ed Arnold Berkowitz, and he made top 8. So first.
So what you're saying is a lot of the players you played against did pretty well.
Yep. I love Ed's team. So Ed's team was.
Alright, you're gonna. Thank you.
Okay.
Your big ass.
We almost died.
Ed's team was 2 Gardeners, Traitor, and then Mangog, Infinity, Groot, and Floral Colossal. So the big Colossal stayed in the starting area. They stayed there. Infinity did her thing where she's increasing range and decreasing range of movement. And then the other Colossals were there for Retaliators and Flora's trying to heal up. So the 2 Gardeners, at the beginning of the turn, they're allowed to place a hindering terrain marker, and then if an opposing character is occupying that terrain marker, they can make a free attack. And then Traitor is there to move around gems. So you have the Soul Gem, the Reality Gem, and I can't remember, or the Power Gem, I believe, or the Soul Gem, Power Gem, and one of the other gems. Doesn't really matter what the gems are. So, I had just gotten Mangogged, so I did not want a Mangog retaliating on me. But he also had the tank. I didn't want to get tanked. Both things are very bad for my team. If I don't do something, I'm gonna get tanked. If I do something, I'm gonna get Mangogged. So there was a very slight, minor misplay, and it wasn't really a necessarily misplay. I didn't play wrong, but I could have played better. Where he was also in this rock hedge maze map. I'm not familiar with rock maps, so it was just all blocking, and it made it very difficult for my Giant Girls to move around because there are very little spots where they can actually occupy. So there is a big open area of like a fountain in the garden. So I kind of just moved my team there because I'm like, well, I don't know if he can get the tank to me, and I don't want to go too aggressive right away and then end up getting Mangog. So I chose to go a little passive. I could have chose to go aggressive and get points, and me and Ed had talked about it after the game. But anyways, I chose to go passive. He managed to get into a position where he put his hindering terrain marker under my giant girl, and then used Gardner's attack without actually damaging the giant girl so that he could drop the tank. Now, thankfully, because of the way I had positioned, he didn't take my entire team. So he only managed to get one of the Medusa, two of the Medusas and Voyager. So one of my Medusas was still full. And I still have my giant girl. So next turn I managed to kill the tank. Now, one of the things that I talked with Ed and I talked with Jason about after the team was my living hair actually killed the tank. And I could have sidestepped my hair away and poof it just like you do with ID characters, and then he couldn't have retaliated. That was something that I had not thought of, so my living hair was still there, so even though I killed the tank, scored myself points, I got Mangogged.
Get gogged.
Now, his Mangog attack wasn't as devastating as Mike's was, so things were still alive. But that meant now I'm trying to get rid of this Mangog. And he had pulled out a Cyclops and managed to kill one of my Medusas, and he's picking me off, and with his Gardeners moving around with their hindering terrain markers, now these markers are all over this map that's already very restrictive. So there's very few places I can place my giant girls or my characters that aren't where these terrain markers are. So I was trying to get the Mangog gone. I basically just couldn't get anywhere near Trader or the Gardeners, because he was able to move them around the space gem by switching the gems and getting carried and everything like that. And so it really came down to like having my aim guys still alive, and aim blue managed to hit Mangog. He hit that 10 on a 19. He hit it, and there was no prob in range for it. And that was another thing that was hard with this map, is that it cuts off a lot of my prob line of fires. So I did manage to hit the Mangog, but then he rolled his impervious. So it's like, oh no! So by the end, I was like, whatever, I'm pushing my aim guys. He's all I've got left. And he had brought out a Rusty to poison my aim guys. So I was like, I know my aim guy's dying, but I'm gonna let him die, but I'm gonna take something down with me. And originally I was gonna go for the Mangog, and Ed's like, well, go for the Rusty. And I'm like, well, I don't know how many, like, I don't know this Rusty. I don't know how many points he is. I don't know how many clicks he is. He's like, trust me, go for the Rusty. Go for the Rusty, kill him. Okay, I've scored some points off of this ID character. I've scored some points off of getting the ID characters called in. But then I died. So it's like, I lost this, but I learned a lot, and we talked just a little bit after the tournament, and, or after the round, and so there were more strategies that I gained for my team. But that also meant that now I'm 0-2. And I'm like, okay, but there's 5 rounds, so I know I'm not getting the top cut, but there are world seats, so I may be able to get that. And then round 3, I'm up against Emily. Oh, sorry, no, not yet. No. Round 3, I was up against a local player named Patrick Chow. Now, this was the game where everything went right. My team performed exactly the way it was supposed to perform. I didn't know his team as well. He had the Chase Iron Man with the Infinity Gauntlet, and Chase Photon from Avengers Infinity, and my usual first turn equip, move up half the map. And he equipped his exospecs, and then my second turn I was in his face. And Living Hairs, second turn, killed Dr. Voodoo. I kind of took him by surprise on that. And then one of Photon's abilities is that for a free action, she can take an opposing bystander and place it adjacent to her.
Yep.
Now, doing that kills the hairs because they're no longer adjacent to Medusas. And I don't know if that really sunk in until he did it. And he was like, oh, that really didn't do what I wanted it to do. So, basically, he tried to attack, or he had taken out one of the hairs, and then next turn, I slammed on Photon. And then all of a sudden, Photon's dead. And now he's down to Iron Man. And still not really sure how to take on my team, because now I've got like upwards of 6 attacks, if not more, because the Living Hairs are autonomous, and if they're not dying from round to round, I'm pushing them and then recreating them and attacking again. So this just became a war of attrition, because he had Invincible, then he had Impervious, then he has Invulnerable. So I'm only doing 3 to 4 damage depending on where my Empower is on red. Now I did put him on the Underground Cavern because I wasn't sure what his team really did, so I wanted to cut off as much as I could, even though it hinders my movements and my line of fires. So I wasn't always able to get my Empower with red, but when I did get it, it was great. So one of the things that he was trying to pick with, he was picking powers with the Gauntlet, but he also had to roll for it, and he did take a couple of damage from rolling for the Gauntlet. And I was just picking him off. At one point he decided to try and run, but the one thing's with the Medusas aren't the ones making the attacks. So he's running away, but he's not getting far enough away because his movement at this point is only 7. Medusas can move 10. So even though he's running away, Medusas are catching up. They're taking the tokens, doesn't matter, because now the hairs are coming out and continuing the onslaught of attacks. Now with this Chase Iron Man, if he does have the Infinity Gauntlet, when he is KO'd, you can KO the Gauntlet to bring him back on Clix 6. So that did happen at one point. I didn't know that this had happened. I didn't realize that this had happened until I pulled the Chase Iron Man in a Battle Royale later on, because my opponent did not tell me that this is what he was doing. At one point, he picked up his character, clicked it, said looked at his card, and then put his character back down, and I was like, why are you back on Clix 6? Didn't I deal you damage? I'm so confused. And then, anyways, I figured out later that it was he had KO'd his Gauntlet to put his Iron Man back. But yeah, so I managed to go like full sweep on that game. So I am now 1-2. I've got 300 and something odd points. Round 4, I'm up against Emily.
Canadian Goose.
Now, one of the fun things about this game is that, well, me and Emily always have fun playing each other, so we knew this was going to be a fun game, regardless of how badly she was going to kick my ass. We had been playtesting together and theory crafting together and strategizing, and we knew that my team has like a 0.1% chance of beating her team. And we had decided that the big strategy for me was to, when I get across the board, take out her big Tonys, because that cuts down her perplex and makes it a little bit harder for her to hit me. So that's what she was expecting. Now, much like with Mike, I put us on a muck time, because Vulture doesn't really care about terrain. I don't care about terrain. Why not just cut terrain out of the equation? So I do my regular first turn, move halfway up the map. She does her regular first turn, perplexes up Vulture 3 times. So now we had developed the strategy to go after the big Tonys. Now, she had placed the big Tonys in such a way that they were like in an L shape with Vulture 1 square over from them. So I moved in to come around the big Tonys. Now my Living Hairs are now adjacent to 2 big Tonys and Vulture. So what she wasn't expecting was that I kill the big Tony, Vulture, so now he's printed defense. Because I got rid of her 2 perplexes and then countered her perplex. And then used my 3rd living hair to attack her Vulture. And like, just the look on her face, she was like, we didn't talk about this. this wasn't your strategy.
She told you how to beat her. And it's like, wait, you're not following the rules.
So that actually brought her down, and she had to, next turn, call in Harley to use Harley's double perplex to get those attacks in. Now, she still beat me, but I made it slightly harder for her. One of the things that I could have done a little bit better was placing my Voyager to be able to outwit her charge. But I don't think I would have been able to get the 3 living hairs attacking had I put Voyager in a place where she had line of fire to Vulture. But either way, it took a lot longer for her to kill my team than it normally would have. And one of the the best moment of that was I had decided to Colossal Retaliate with my giant girl. And she's like, okay, well that is an 8 on a 19 because of Unseen dropping the Colossal Retaliation by 2. And I'm like, why not? You're gonna kill me next turn. Crazier things have happened. I rolled the 11. And like the noise that came out of me when I did that. Now she managed to prop it away and I couldn't roll the 11 again with the 3 rerolls that I had. But it was still just that like, I don't know guys, crazier things have happened. Oh, there's the 11. So that was that game. So now I'm 1-3. I have now lost my chance pretty much to be able to qualify for Worlds. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm still having fun. I still qualified, and then we're going to the final round of the tournament where, lo and behold, I face Jason.
Well, look who it is.
We've play tested our teams together, and my team does not fare well against his. So I knew this going in. I was like, all right, let's just have fun. So, muck time, nice, wide, and open. Because underground, I only have the 2 maps. Underground, the whales break the stuff, and then it gets hindering everywhere, and I don't like it.
It's just messy. It's
just
gross.
messy. Nobody wants to deal with that. So I do my usual move forward. Now, I knew that the whales had energy explosion. I knew that they had quake. I did the best I could by once I moved forward, I spread out with my side steps so that I wasn't as easy of a target. Now it did help in the slight sense in the fact that when he moved forward and quaked for the first time, he wasn't able to quake all of my Medusas. He couldn't get everybody in range.
I missed one.
So he quaked, I took a bunch of damage, he moved his whales forward, he quaked again, giant girls are dying.
Actually, in the first turn, I only killed the AIM guy.
Yeah. And then, because the giant girls were there for later on in the game.
Yep.
But, I managed, the one thing Jason did help me with, he reminded me that I had Leslie Evans to move forward and outwit, the Invincible and the whales, so the next time around, next turn, I was able to take out a whale. I had to throw everything I had at it, but I managed to take out a whale. This continued on. So his turns were, he's gonna move forward, quake, and hurt my team, kill things, at least one thing a turn, and then I'm gonna use as many attacks as I can to take out the whales. I managed to kill 2 whales, and he managed to take out the rest of my team. At one point, he brought the Con Raven with all of the Walking Woods and put it adjacent to my Medusa. Now, I had wanted my Medusa to be able to attack the whale, and then he noticed that I had Quake. Now, I have a really hard time with the pale green on this set. It's very, very pale.
And bad lighting.
In the wrong light, it looks like there's no color there. So he's like, well, why don't you just Quake? I'm like, I have Quake on that click? Because there are clicks where she doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's Quake. So we quaked and killed a bunch of Walking Woods, and it was actually fantastic. And he's like, oh, so that happened.
Yeah, I have 3 Walking Woods adjacent to her. I'm bound to make one shape change, right?
No. Yeah, so I mean, in the end, I ended up killing 2 whales. He took my entire team. But, I mean, it was a fun game. We knew it was kind of going to conclude that way. But I managed to throw as many attacks as I could.
That's what both of our teams do. It's like,
Yep.
Are you attacking? No, then you're losing.
Yeah. And you're playing your team wrong. So at the end of the day, I was 1-4, and I did not qualify for Worlds, and I don't even think we got ID cards at the end of the day.
No.
Yeah, we got.
Well, in the final world thing, you get top 8, I think, or
Is
the
it
only
only
ones.
top 8? I thought I read that like the bottom
Or
half.
top 16 or something like that.
We're supposed to get objects as well.
There's nothing else beyond that.
But anyways, that.
Did you
could be
need up
something
another
different,
Professor
but-
X card?
Yeah.
I don't know, Aiden, do you need another Professor X card? Because if I get one, you're getting one.
You know what? I can use it, and I can put it in like the emergency price support for the store when we don't get OP kits. So I have an answer.
At the end of the game, me and Jason sat down and we had a semi-serious conversation about me taking some time off of constructed meta or competitive play. I'm still looking forward to going to Worlds. I'm going to play in Team Worlds. I'm going to play in Battle Royales. I'm going to play in Regenesis. Going to play in Sealed WKOs when they pop up. But I'm taking time off of constructed. I can't do it right now.
Yeah. All right. So that was the.
There's no good lighting.
There's no wait. There's. How does these work? There we go. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
And I think we need both. Sorry. Aiden.
Look, I'm the fan. I'm like the Phantom of the Opera, where you can at least see the left side of my face.
All right. So rundown of Canadian Nationals. So the games, as you can imagine, we love HeroClix. It was a lot of fun. I think we can all agree on that.
Yes.
Well, what we do definitely have a massive issue with was the prizing situation. Part of the prizing situation, to me, made me want to say, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to spend money when I don't know how, when, where I'm going to get things. Which I feel bad about. Because I came ready to play in a bunch of Battle Royales, play in a bunch of qualifiers just for the chance at rings or figures or whatever. And ultimately I participated in a lot less just because it didn't feel worth it. I mean, like Amber said, we had a banner year for HeroClix last year for ourselves, as you know, I did fairly well in Team Worlds. Amber did very well in Team Worlds. We had lots of the ID cards. I had all of the con exclusives as a result. I didn't need anything that they were giving out. And because we didn't know what could happen. So, what I have to very quickly stress is that Carta Magica is not to blame in this matter. This is not a business issue as far as the guys running HeroClix Nationals. I want to stress that. The heating in the hotel, not Carta Magica's fault. Because the air conditioning in that room was non-existent. I don't care how high they said it was non-existent. Especially when you put 25 gigantic, or just me and Jason came in a room.
Oh, I was talking with Alex this morning, and apparently the staff went in this morning, so Sunday morning, to look at the air conditioner, and it was at the wrong setting. So it was actually up too high for Saturday.
And they claimed.
I'm sorry, what? You saying that was on like...
because air conditioning, you have to turn down this, because it's climate control or central air.
Oh, yeah.
You have to set the thermostat.
So you said it like, if we wanted to kick in at 35.
It was set, and these numbers don't mean anything to me. It was set at 72.
So like a little above room temperature.
And Sunday morning, they brought it down to 62.
It still wasn't great. But again, not on Carta Magica. Though vetting your rooms and everything like that might be a good idea in the future. That I still can't put things on that. Here's the things we don't know. When did Carta Magica receive the prize kits? We don't know. Did they open them when we received them? I can't. I'm neither here nor there, so I can't put much in the way of blame on Carta Magica. They did the best they could with what they were given, and they tried their best. They took information from us, and they are going to try to, give us something in return. They got our stores, so they might be able to sell it into our store stuff. Who knows? They talked to us about possibly running a game. Or they're going to be running games in the CNE when they're in Toronto, which is great for guys in the Toronto area. Not so great. Doesn't really help those in the States, as you can understand. A lot of people travel for this. And a lot of this goes down on the distributor and the communications between the distributor and WizKids. Now, WizKids probably told them to send them something or send them this specific thing, and I don't know if somebody wasn't reading a box at the distributor level. Ultimately, this is on them, and they really screwed us. They screwed us hard. Like, I've been pissed before at the way a tournament is operated, and I was able to point blame at tournament organizers in those situations, and I was able to talk to them. And now there's a distributor somewhere that I can't talk to, and all I can do is yell at my camera and be like, "What the hell?" Because this is unacceptable.
You're basically telling somebody, "Hey, you're coming to complete for a gold medal, but we don't have the gold medal."
I mean, yeah.
You're just coming for, and we might send it to you later on.
Yeah, and
it's not.
One of the great things about HeroClix is that it's not run on cash. It's not like Magic the Gathering, where if I go to a Grand Prix, $30,000 doesn't not show up to it. I shouldn't be going to a tournament of this caliber and not have the right equipment sent to the people running this thing. And when something like this, you need an emergency number, and you need an emergency contact and a backup plan in case something like this happens. And the distributor, this is on the distributor, and to a certain degree, I really hope WizKids does hear about this. I know that certain people were there, and certain communications will be had with WizKids, but there's not much that they could do from their position, because they are a company that sends stuff to a distributor from other places, and a lot of it is out of their hands. So, unfortunately, the distributor screwed us, and that's unacceptable from the distributor's point of from our point of view. And something's got to be done about this, and I hope somebody somewhere is able to really kind of help us out as players, kind of feel a little better about this. Because, and I'm not looking for handout. I just, I want some kind of, like, somebody's got to explain themselves. Because, and when it comes down to it, in the past, we've had our issues with Carta Magica and their operation of Canadian Nationals. And I have seen them do things better in some years and do things worse in other years. This year, they did all of the right things, and everything around them screwed them. And I feel bad for them, because we couldn't buy our Mammoth Ghost Riders, which we were promised, on the WizKids page. Distributor screwed them on that. We weren't given the prizes we were supposed to get, or they weren't given the prizes we were supposed to get, so we couldn't compete for them. Which means I couldn't feel obliged to participate in a battle royale.
Which ultimately hurt the store, because they weren't moving the product.
They weren't able to sell. Like, battle royales cost money. I gotta pay money. They would probably have run out of prizes again this year if they had prizes worth having in the battle royales. I mean, by this point, everybody has Black Panther and the Illuminati for most of what they want. Maybe a couple figures here and there might show up, like a chase or two. Cool. I heard an Ultra Chase got pulled at about twice in battle royales. I mean, when it comes down to it, these are cool things that happen, but those are like fewer and far between, whereas every battle royale should have a number of rings and a con exclusive to be fighting for. And honestly, there's still a couple rings I need. And I think they're supposed to come out this week. So it's really, really hurtful for us as Canadian. Like, it feels bad. We barely have this event.
That's a really good point. There were prizes, like winnable prizes, that were supposed to debut at Canadian Nationals, and they didn't, because they didn't show up.
Right. So, long and the short of it, something's got to get done about this, and somebody has to be in the right communication point from here on in, and nothing like this can ever happen again. Because this is, you know what really hurts, unfortunately, for Alex. He's had such a hard time running it all these years with all these situations. Now, next year, you know what's going to happen when he announces WizKids Nationals or Canadian Nationals? Are you guys going to have the right prizes?
Yeah.
think from another perspective, from a tournament, a person who runs a tournament and who organizes, I'm going to use myself, use Jay and Amber, because we do share the judging and the organization of the tournaments at our local stores. So we know we're speaking also I'm thinking from a perspective of my end, where if I were to organize this, how badly I would feel. And be like, I'm sorry, you've shown up. I've been in the situation where I've gone to a local store for an event, and we've shown up, and it's an hour before the tournament's supposed to start, and they say they don't have the product. And they didn't, and the store owner wasn't around, and whatever logistical issues it was, I think he said, look, we need to make sure that we have this product for Sunday, or what, I think it was a Sunday, in order to have this thing. We've got X people signed up already, we want to get it done. And there was a bad taste that marked the store. And
that store was never able to recover.
And it wasn't. And because it had this polling. Now, it's not the store's fault, like Jason has repeatedly said, that this logistical issue has occurred. But again, from a perspective of a organizer attending as a player, I have all right, well, what was the chain? Did WizKids not ship it to the distributor, and then the distributor didn't get it at all? And at what time did this happen? What was the time frame is really kind of what we're looking at. Because if the distributor said, hey, look at, it's Friday afternoon, oh, we don't have, 4 of the 7 boxes that you were supposed to receive, then the limitation of what Cartamagicka can turn around and do is hampered. Like, they don't have the ability to call up and say, okay, well, it's Saturday morning, where the hell is it? Well, it's still stuck in, I don't know, at the border or something like that. Versus, hey, they got the price report like a week and a half ago, and they just opened it now and realized what the hell happened. So that's questions that need to be answered and looked at, and I'm not being negative in that sense, but it's a helping, like, okay, how did this work? Let's figure out the problem, not place the blame, but let's realize the flow of product has to happen. Because like Jay said, and Alex said to me when I was talking to him about this last night, Saturday night, I'm gonna get that guy when there's gonna be a message where it's like, do you guys know if you're getting the pricing? And it's gonna be like, what do you say to that? It's like, well,
I hope so.
I mean, I hope so, but on the other hand, it's like another person who's going to make the trip. Now, let's please keep in mind here, this is a 6-hour journey for us from Toronto.
Yep.
There are people who have come up from the States, who have come from other parts of the country, who have flown in, or, they've had to leave work or whatever, and to all of a sudden show up and be like, hey, look it's last year again. It does put, like, do you really want to go back? And, like, are we going to be continually going to into a situation where there's something that's always going to happen? And do we want to take that risk? And we're not trying to be rude, but as a player, it's like, I want to know if I'm going to be spending the time to come down, that I'm going to be able to get the buyables that I want, to play in a battle royale if I've already qualified, and be able to get some of these con exclusives, or that if I have to qualify, that I'm going to be rewarded with the prizing that I'm expected to get. And in some cases, those characters, there's a character that's coming out that's going to be super fun for me. Like, personally, it was the Mammoth, for a myriad of reasons, that I really, really wanted that Mammoth. And, like, I'm looking forward to getting that Mammoth. And when they say, oh, we don't have it, and we don't have any of the stuff that you're supposed to be winning, it's like, well, shit, why did I actually come here except to play? And I mean, I've already
play at home.
Yeah, I mean, I can go and do a sealed event at my store, have just as much fun, and not have to spend the hotel, spend the car ride, take the 2 days off of work, or whatever it happens to be, to get something that maybe I didn't care about last year. I looked at the con, I couldn't care less. I would have taken the Kingdom Come stuff because I'm a fan of that particular book and it would be fun. But if I've got access to it through Jason or through another player, I mean, why would I spend the money and time in coming? And that's something that has to be addressed as well. I think that besides another issue that I don't know if Jason's going to touch on.
Which other issue is that?
The fact that we didn't know what the fuck was going on with Canadian Nationals until like a month before.
Oh yeah, well, I'll cover that in a second.
Okay, please. That was the only... Sorry.
Yeah, kind of leading off of that, this felt like a very rough year. A lot of extenuating circumstances that I am not privy to. I don't know what happened with the prizes. I don't know what happened with the scheduling. I don't know why we were only given 3 months notice, or sorry, 3 weeks notice that this was happening, and have the wrong date show up the first time. When it was first announced, the wrong date was there, and then it got changed. I just don't know. But it did feel like a rough year. A lot of players felt like they were walking away with nothing or very little because of the prizing issue. And this was actually the lowest attendance we've had for Canadian Nationals. This is the 6th year that it has been run, and I believe we had a total of 40 players. It may not have even reached that high. The actual championship had 25. The first 2 years we had 100 players. The Nationals was capped because there was no outside ways of getting into the tournament. So the first 2 years it was capped at 32. So we had 32 and then 32. And then once they introduced the WKOs, there were other ways to get in. And then I think we had 80 or so people the 3rd year.
This was the first year in Montreal?
Yeah, the first year in Montreal. And then we had 1 year in Toronto, which was not heavily attended, and I'm not actually sure how many we had that year.
I mean, that was the May long weekend, though. That was like a stretch of time where they were running that on the May long weekend.
And then last year, we had a good 60 or so people.
Yep.
And I believe we had like 30 or more in the actual tournament. It just felt very small. And the majority of players came from the States.
Yep.
And like that's a long travel to make to play in a tournament where you're essentially not getting any prizing for, because they've already had their nationals and they've already been able to compete for prizes and they've already been able to purchase the buyables. So there were a lot of purchasable con exclusives still there. And even they had a cap, like they were only getting 32 of each purchasables, and that table still looked full because most of the people that came up already bought it.
Yeah, I bought them in the U.S. Nationals.
Yeah, they had a lot of
I almost bought another dupe on the way out. I'm not gonna lie, but I changed my mind.
So yeah, it felt very small this year. Still had a lot of fun. I think it was run well. I think they did great with all of the hiccups that they did have and tried to address as many concerns as they had. I'm not angry.
Just disappointed.
Just disappointed.
This is constructive criticism, if anything, because
absolutely,
you can't yell at the store, because Alex, Grace Under Pressure, God bless him. I don't know what was going through his mind. I don't know. Like Friday night, he must have been a complete and utter wreck. Be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to say to these people. Like, if it'd probably been another group of contestants or another group of people, I'm pretty sure the poor kid would have been tarred and feathered.
Yeah, like if this was another game, Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, he'd have been murdered.
Yeah.
So, long and short of it, I think what we want for next year, like I think at this point our demands for Canadian Nationals next year include significantly more time between when we find out the event is and when the event is. Like 3 weeks is unacceptable. and that there's no way that didn't somehow hamper those coming in. We need to make sure that they have their pricing early in case another problem where they get last year's pricing sent to them occurs and they have to figure that out. So that needs to be addressed as well. And then we need WizKids as a company to almost as an apology to Canada, give us some kind of cool event in our stores, I think. Just because, like, you know when they had the con in your store a while back? Something like that for Canada. I don't necessarily think it should be that, but like with these prizes, hold something that's Canadian exclusive or something, so we have a chance to kind of get it back, you know, get something for everything that's happened. I mean, that's probably a lofty, but something to make good, because I'd never normally make a demand like this, but I had to take time off. We had to get a hotel room, and then we had to pay for all the events and everything like that. And it was not the caliber. Like, if I knew that this was what the event was going to be like, I'd have stayed home and played video games like I usually do on my weekends.
I had been to more exciting, better run, better logistically set up WKOs.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to travel. I've traveled. I mean, I've been to Whitby and I've been to Elmvale. And now, for those of you who don't know, Elmvale is in...
Elmvale, like, the tournament they organize is, like, up here, as far as local organized WKOs.
No, I don't mean it like that. I mean, not their organization. Understand that they're in, like, the snow belt of Canada.
Yeah. And
if they have a winter event, it can be very, very difficult if you're traveling down the main road. And it's been, like, I love the store. Kim does a great job running it. Please, if you're watching this, Kim, do not think this is not a location or anything. But it is. It's like, I've gone to these places, like, okay, I'm not going to die trying to get to an event simply because I want to go to an event, but it's been more worthwhile that I could lose everything at a WKO event. But it's just the level of, for whatever reason, the gelness of everything coming together just seemed to be a little bit more than what happened this weekend.
Yeah. And
it's again, I don't blame Carter Magica for a lot of the stuff that happened. I mean, it happened, but we have to figure out why it happened, and if we have to, you know, better things for happening, and you know, grease some palms, or whatever it happens to be. I don't mean that. It's the only term
I'm punching some faces in this sort of situation. I'm not greasing palms. Nobody's getting extra money. They're getting extra.
Back to the players.
Sorry, the only extra money is the roll of quarters in my hand that I'm punching somebody with.
I would use loonies. Anyway,
the loonies aren't wide enough.
Okay. Anyway, but I think that's what it happens to be, and I hope that at the end of this, I hope that now that it's now passed, Monday morning, Alex will get up and be like, all right, let's stop and figure out what the fuck went wrong with this distributor, and come out and tell us.
Yep.
I want to know.
Tell us what the
because it's not that I don't. It's I want to know myself because I've been in a distribution situation.
Kick down the door, find out, bash some heads on desks.
Did somebody not get it? Did it not ship on time?
Well, no. You got this. This is the misunderstanding I think you're having. They got pricing, but it was last year's pricing.
I know that, but did they accidentally grab the wrong one when they were at the distributor?
Yeah.
Whatever. Somebody was asleep on the job, and it's like, okay, let's figure out. That's what it is. It needs to be rectified in a manner that it's...
X gonna give it to you!
and otherwise, I mean, the playership's gonna go down.
Yeah.
You're gonna have 10 people show up for Canadian Nationals, half of which may be Americans, because, you know, the rest of us is like, why would I go to a hot mess?
Again, this is the reputation damage that has been done now, and I feel sorry for Carta Magica on this matter. It's not their
collateral. It's not direct. That's the problem.
Yeah. And now Canadian Nationals is a laughingstock.
Yeah.
Right?
But the Canadian won the Canadian Nationals, so
I mean,
To
yeah,
Americans,
we've
it's not
mentioned
a lot
that.
of
Like,
stock.
congrats to Devin on that. Congrats on winning that. And at least they had your factory set in, so that's going for you.
Yes. All of the actual top 8 prizing was there. So the big prizing that they were supposed to get for winning the tournament was there. So at least they got that. That's fantastic.
Well, not the winnables.
Sorry. The big prizing, the factory sets, the prize
yeah.
set, and
And the chase
factory
sets,
set,
yeah. So, I think that's a kind of a rundown. Overall, it wasn't like there's a lot of problems in comparison to like unacceptable problem. The problems we had this year were unacceptable level as far as what was given to the tournament to give out. What was acceptable was the playing, the tournaments themselves, the games that were being played, perfectly acceptable. But something has got to be done that doesn't make, that doesn't make Canadian Nationals now the laughingstock of the world, the World Series of Nationals in HeroClix. So I think it's enough from all of us. I think we're good. It's time for us to just kind of turn out the lights and drive the rest of the way. Thank you guys for watching. For the Move and Attack Rundown episode. Just 3 episodes. We got like 2.5 hours of content out of this. Hope you guys enjoy our post Nationals crisis.